Hey everyone, Brandon here, and in today's video I'm going to show you the 3 types of products that you can't sell unless you're willing to put in a little bit of extra effort. So let's get started. So the first type of product you can't sell unless you're willing to put in a little bit extra effort is pesticides. So pesticides are anything that can kill rodents, pests, herbicides which go on your grass, things like that. And the way you get approved for this is that you have to go in and you take a test on Amazon to get the certification, and it tells you all about the different types of content labels you're going to see on products like this that give you an idea of what is allowed, what is expected of you, and that way you're prepared to send these products in and not get in trouble, because this can be detrimental if you do not have the correct disclaimers on the product, and you have to list all the ingredients and the percentages in that product. So it goes over all of that in that training, and so you can go to Seller Central and just search in pesticide training and get that approval and submit it. It does take a little bit of time, and sometimes they do have a wait list, but once you get in, this is a very profitable product niche to get into, because not everyone has that ability to be able to send out products like this. Typically, they are going to be heavier products, so it doesn't always make sense to ship out small parcel. But if you're at that point where you're shipping LTL, it does start to make sense, because that pound, the amount you pay per pound shipping wise does go down significantly. So if you are at that stage, I would definitely consider taking that next step and getting approval for that. So the second type of product you can't sell without extra approvals from Amazon is hazmat items. So some of you might have heard of this, but you have 2 types of hazmat products. You have aerosol, which is like this pledge can, and you also have flammable items, things that contain alcohol or different things that can be flammable. Now, those are treated as 2 different storage limits. You're going to have a different amount you can store for each one. Now, you have your regular storage, which is your standard, your oversized, your extra large, and your apparel, like your footwear and things like that. You have all those regularly, but when you get approved for the hazmat program, you get 2 separate types of storage limits now, because they get sent to separate fulfillment centers compared to your regular standard things. So you are going to start off with a very small amount, but as you grow, you'll be able to request increases incrementally when you are selling through your limit. So how you get approved for hazmat like aerosol and flammable is you go into Amazon and search in the search bar the hazmat approval, and you're going to be able to get on a wait list to get into that program. There is a wait list, and sometimes people's wait times can be anywhere from a week to a few months, but I promise you, if you're willing to put in that effort, then you will definitely see some extra sales, because there's not a lot of people who are selling this stuff FBA. Now, if you do get into this, you do have to keep in mind there are different shipping criteria, specifically if you're shipping these things a small parcel, and those are, you have to make sure that you are labeling the box with ORMD stickers. They make them, they sell them on Amazon, or any type of Uline shop will have those stickers you put on there, and you have to give a description of what is in those contents, aerosol and consumer hazmat. Same thing goes when you're shipping LTL. You want to make sure that you are putting on a good grade pallet, and little trick, you want to make sure you're opaque wrapping it, because there is a difference in shipping something hazmat versus like a consumer hazmat versus actual hazmat. When you ship LTL hazmat, you have to what's called placard the truck. You're going to have this little diamond on the back that has like explosives. Now that is completely different than things like this where they're consumer hazmat. The issue is if you're shipping out products and they see the hazmat symbol on there, you have to have a goods disclaimer on there of what it is. And the problem is, if an LTL carrier sees that, sometimes they'll pull it aside and say, hey, this is actually hazmat. That is completely wrong. You are able to ship consumer hazmats without that hazmat disclaimer on the BOL or anything like that. So just be sure to not make that mistake, because I did originally. I clicked that little hazmat button. I was like, oh, this is hazmat. That's what Amazon says. Well, that is not what the carrier said. What Amazon and the carrier say are completely different things, and you're able to ship this without having to do that, and it saves you a ton of money. Shipping hazmat is very expensive, trust me. Now, we do have hazmat approval, and this is one of those that is a very big competitive advantage for us and has been really great for us to continue to grow. Like I said, you just have to make sure you're taking advantage of all of the space that you do have. That way you can continually increase the amount that you ask for and get, and that is a super big competitive advantage. One piece of advice I would give, and if you're going to sell in the hazmat category, they do ship to different fulfillment centers. What that means is that you're going to have to take into account the extra fulfillment cost to those centers, because more than likely they ship these out. When we ship these out in Amazon, they split them up into 3 fulfillment centers. Now, that means that your shipping costs are going to almost triple. So you have to make sure that margin makes sense for these products. So don't go with whatever your minimum is, whether that's $2 or $3. Make sure you factor that in when you buy these products. It will make a huge difference and it'll save you in the long run, I promise. The third product category you can't sell in is the grocery category. And this one is one of the largest categories on Amazon, and I think is just a huge opportunity because it's so large. Whether you're doing private label, wholesale, anything really in that category, bundling, you can go ahead and try to get in this, and it opens up a lot of different doors. And it's really not as difficult to ungate as the other two. Most of the times, all you're going to need is an invoice with 10 items in the grocery category, and you're going to have somewhat of a seasoned account. Most of the times, Amazon is not going to have an issue if you just provide that invoice and your account has been open, has good feedback for the past few months. And sometimes I've seen sellers who get ungated immediately. So you just have to make sure that you get those things. Now, this additional tip now, so certain products such as this, the Tonica cherries, that you can't even sell this unless you have what's called transparency labels on them. And those are barcodes that are given to the manufacturer or distributors, and it shows where that product originated from and showing that it is actually an authentic good. It shows where it comes from, and these can be printed off by people like us or other distributors, manufacturers they come in from, and then Amazon scans them in like that, and that's the only way you're able to sell stuff like this. So that's actually an extra fourth one that you can look into, but those are the main 3 that I recommend. Grocery is definitely one of the best ones I'd recommend for beginners because it's the easiest one to get into, and it's not requiring different requirements, certifications. You don't have to ship it different like you do hazmat products. And I think that if I was a beginner, what I would do is I'd start off with the grocery category and I would then progress up. That's what we did. We started off with just selling in the grocery category. That's our first ungating, and then we slowly but surely moved it up as we had more capacity, had more products available to us, and we were able to make the logistics make sense. Like I said, some of these, they add a lot of shipping costs on top of everything else, so you want to make sure that your margin is there. All right, so those are the 3 categories you can't sell unless you're willing to put in just a little bit of extra effort. So if you like this one, please subscribe, like the video, and leave me a comment, or you can DM me on Instagram. I'll be sure to get back to all of y'all, and thanks again. We'll see you in the next one.